For this video tutorial, you will need suitable safety equipment, gloves, ear defenders and goggles. Obviously you're also going to need an angle grinder, a disc removal tool and some discs. These are both for metal. This is a grinding disc, this is a cutting disc. You need some metal to work with, a vise to put it in, a square and a way of marking onto metal. First thing we want to do is fit the disc to the grinder. This disc is for grinding. It's slightly thicker than the cutting disc. On this particular model, you undo the nut, put the disc on, so the writing is facing upwards when you're holding the grinder, downwards when you're looking at it like this. The nut then goes on with the flange towards the inside. Tighten this up finger tight and check the torque using the tool. On some models, such as this one, you have a button at the top which you have to depress, which locks the motor and prevents it from turning, making it easier to tighten up. When grinding, we grind down at this angle like this. That means you set the guard at about 90 degrees to the front. When using the grinder, hold it securely with both hands. If you're right-handed, as I am, hold the trigger with your right hand and use your left hand on the handle to steady the grinder as you use it. If you're left-handed, some grinders, this one will, and I guess most of them will because this one's pretty cheap, will allow you to swap the handle around and put it in the other side, which means you can use your left hand on the trigger and right hand to guide the grinder. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's important that you wear earmuffs, goggles and gloves if you can as well, because often these grinders vibrate so much that when you apply them to the metal, especially if you're cutting, they want to jump out of your hands. Ensure that your workpiece is clamped securely in a vise, and also that you've got adequate spark protection. When this thing cuts or grinds, it sprays sparks generally in one direction depending on the way you've got the guard set up. It's a good idea to test the grinder on the workpiece before you start to grind to work out which way the sparks are going to go, which will allow you to put up a damp cloth such as this one in that direction. As you use the grinder, move it smoothly and slowly up and down the workpiece at an angle of about this much. Don't dig the grinder in and don't apply too much downward force on it either, as you can ruin the bearings inside of here. And there you have it, a well finished piece ready for welding. Here's two L plates which will be welded together. Although the joint is strong, the weld itself is quite globular and there's a lot of spatter, particularly around this area. One of the good things about using a grinder is you can grind this off relatively easily. However, you have to bear in mind that since the surface is even, the welder might try to jump out of your hands a little more than if you're just welding a flat piece. I therefore recommend practicing on a flat piece as I did earlier before attempting something like this. As you can now hopefully see, the top of the weld is now much smoother and neater looking, ready to be primed and painted. First thing to do is change the disc over. In the same way as before, depress the button underneath, insert your disc removal tool, turn this round, probably be quite tight, and then unscrew. Remove the disc, put the cutting disc on, put on your nut with the flange facing down, lock it off as before, and tighten into place. One thing you must do is, if you're cutting down like this, your guard is going to get in the way. So you want to rotate that about 90 degrees. This can be done with an ordinary Phillips screwdriver. The other thing you want to do is rotate your handle off here and pop it into this hole here, so that when you're cutting you can maintain a good grip and sort of drop the grinder down onto the work like so. When you've got your piece mounted securely in your vise, you can go ahead and start to cut. If the grinder does keep trying to jump out of your hands, instead of cutting through like this, you can start at this end and cut backwards. This is the completed piece. As you can see, it's slightly tatty where the grinder hasn't cut perfectly straight. You can use the grinding disc to smooth this out, although for something like this that's this small, it'd probably be quicker just to use an ordinary file, which is what I'm going to do. You can now use the square to check your work. That's pretty good. In the next few videos, I'm going to be showing you how you can use these skills with a grinder, along with other skills such as welding, to produce projects and to repair things. Thank you for watching, and please comment.